11 people connected to America's most sensitive nuclear and aerospace research have died or vanished in 4 years. The FBI is investigating. Congress is demanding answers. The president called it pretty serious stuff. Then he said there's probably nothing connecting them at all. You've been told this is either a conspiracy or a coincidence. It's neither. And the case that proves it, the one that changes everything, is the one almost nobody is talking about. Michael David Hicks, research scientist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, 24 years at the agency. Worked on the DART mission, worked on Deep Space One, the kind of scientist who builds the things that hit asteroids and fly into the outer solar system. Died July 2023, age 59, no cause of death ever released. Not to his family, not in public records, not anywhere. A NASA scientist died and nobody will tell you why. That's one you wouldn't notice yet. Frank Mywald, connected to a nuclear weapons component facility. Died in 2024. Same silence. No details. No answers. A person inside the infrastructure of America's nuclear arsenal, dead, with nothing reported beyond a name on a growing list. That's two. Still easy to overlook. 2 people, 2 years, 2 different agencies. Nothing that screams pattern. But here's where the story starts pulling tighter. Monica Reza, aerospace engineer. She led JPL's materials processing group. She worked on government-funded rocket materials, high-strength, burn-resistant alloys designed to survive things most metal can't. Her research was overseen by a general at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. June 2025. She went hiking in the Angeles National Forest outside Los Angeles. Her companions saw her smiling, waving 30 feet behind them on the trail. Then she wasn't there. No body, no trail, no explanation. A 60-year-old woman vanished from a hiking path in broad daylight and she has not been found. That's 3. And I need you to hold that number because it's about to start accelerating. Nuno Loureiro, MIT professor, director of the Plasma Science and Fusion Center, Nuclear Science and Engineering. The kind of research that sits at the exact intersection of energy and weapons. Fusion is the holy grail of power generation, and it's also the backbone of next-generation defense systems. December 2025. Someone shot him multiple times at his home in Brookline, Massachusetts. He died the next day. 47 years old. The FBI concluded this was personal. A former graduate school acquaintance from Portugal. A vendetta. Case closed. 1 murder, 1 motive, 1 explanation. Standalone tragedy. And that might be true. It probably is true. But Loureiro wasn't just any professor. He ran MIT's fusion program. The research that could reshape how nations power themselves, or arm themselves. And the man at the center of it was shot dead in his own house. That's 4. Carl Grillmeyer, Caltech astrophysicist, Infrared Processing and Analysis Center. The kind of scientist who maps the universe in wavelengths you can't see. February 2026, shot and killed outside his home in Llano, California. No suspect named, no motive released. 67 years old, murdered on his own doorstep, and the case sits there, open, unresolved. Another scientist, another shooting, another silence. That's 5. And then the name that started all of this. William Neal McCasland. Retired Air Force Major General, former commander of the Air Force Research Laboratory at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. The installation steeped in decades of UFO lore, Roswell debris, buried secrets. February 27, 2026, he left his home in Albuquerque, New Mexico, on foot. His phone, his prescription glasses, his wearable devices, all found inside his house. Missing, his hiking boots, his wallet, a .38 caliber revolver. A silver alert was issued. He hasn't been found. A general who once led the military's investigation into unidentified aerial phenomena walked out of his house with a gun and disappeared into the desert. His wife pushed back against the conspiracy claims. She said he had no special knowledge about Roswell. Said he'd held only common security clearances since retirement 13 years ago. Said he had a chronic health condition. The sheriff said there was no evidence of foul play. And maybe that's true. Maybe a sick man walked into the New Mexico desert with a revolver and chose not to come back. That happens. That's real. That's devastating. But here's the part that doesn't get enough attention. McCasland once oversaw the exact rocket materials project that Monica Riza worked on before she vanished. The same general, the same research, and now both of them are gone. That's 6, or 7, or 11 depending on who's counting. Now here's where I have to be honest with you. Because this story has two sides, and only one of them is getting airtime. The skeptics have a real point. Some of the people on this list weren't scientists the way you'd imagine. One was an administrative assistant at Los Alamos. Another worked as a custodian at a weapons component facility. The list keeps growing because people keep scraping through obituaries for anyone with any connection, any word, any hint, to NASA, defense, aerospace, propulsion. They're finding patterns in random noise. Tens of thousands of people work at these agencies. Over 4 years, some of them will die. Some will disappear. That's not conspiracy. That's statistics. Trump walked back the urgency, said there's not much of a connection. NASA said nothing indicates a national security threat. And the families, the actual families of the dead, they've asked people to stop. Stop turning their grief into internet spectacle. Stop connecting their loved ones to alien conspiracies they never believed in. That's the case against. And it's strong. It's rational. It's probably right for most of these names. But here's the first lie. The lie is that coincidence and conspiracy are the only two options. That either all 11 of these are connected by some shadow operation, or none of them mean anything at all. That either there's a killer hunting scientists, or there's nothing to see here and you should move on. That's wrong. And I can prove it. Because there's one case on this list that doesn't fit the coincidence explanation. One case that has something none of the others have. Evidence. Not speculation. Not pattern fitting. Not scraping through bios for connections. Actual words, written by the person who died, 1 month before her death, telling you exactly what was coming. Amy Eskridge, Huntsville, Alabama. Brilliant. 34 years old. Co-founder of the Institute for Exotic Science, a real company with real research, investigating anti-gravity technology, not fringe speculation, not a YouTube channel making claims. A funded research organization created by a scientist who understood exactly what she was dealing with. She said she started the company for a reason, a specific reason. She said, "If something happens to me, at least the work will continue." Read that again. A 34-year-old scientist built a public-facing organization specifically so her research would survive her death. Not her career, not her legacy, her death. She was already planning for it. And then, 1 month before she died, she sent a series of texts to her business partner. The texts said, "I did not kill myself no matter what anyone says." She sent another. It said, "If anything happens to me, suicide or an accident, it wasn't, it's suspicious, treat it as such." Those texts exist. They're documented. They're not theory. They're not someone's interpretation of a pattern. They are direct, explicit instructions from a woman who knew something was coming for her, and she tried to leave you a signal. And then, in 2022, Amy Eskridge died. A self-inflicted gunshot wound. Ruled suicide. Case closed. She told you it wouldn't be suicide. She told you to treat any death as suspicious. She built an entire organization to ensure her work would survive whatever was coming. And then she died exactly the way she predicted she would. Exactly the way she told you not to believe. For 4 years those texts sat there. In plain sight. Documented. Verifiable. Not investigated. Not followed up. Not even questioned by the authorities who ruled her death a closed case. The signal was right there, and nobody received it. This is where we get to the real story. The most dangerous thing about this list isn't that someone is killing scientists. It's not even that some of these cases might be connected. The most dangerous thing is that the noise, the UFO theories, the Reddit threads, the cable news panels debating alien debris at Wright-Patterson, creates the perfect camouflage for the cases that actually matter. Amy Eskridge's texts are real evidence, real words, a real woman telling you in plain language that her death would not be what it appeared to be. And that evidence gets swallowed by the spectacle. It gets lumped in with Roswell and secret UFO programs and generals vanishing into the desert. And suddenly, genuine suspicion becomes easy to dismiss, easy to ignore, easy to file away. That's the third possibility nobody wants to talk about. Not a conspiracy killing scientists. Not a coincidence that looks like one. Something worse. A system where real evidence can hide inside so much noise that it becomes invisible. Where a woman can write, "I did not kill myself," and then die by suicide. And 4 years pass before anyone even asks whether those words deserved a second look. The real conspiracy is the one hiding in plain sight. Not a shadow operation. Not a foreign power. It's the fact that when everything looks like a conspiracy, nothing does. And the one case with actual evidence, the one set of words that should have changed everything, gets buried under 11 other names that probably are coincidence. Almost like the signal was never lost. What do you think happened to Amy Eskridge? Let me know in the comments. If you want more investigations like this, make sure to subscribe to Signal Lost.